Two African novels, two literary giants, two books set in the same place, one epic shutdown. Today, I will be comparing two books. On one hand, we have Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, a story that introduced pre-colonial era and the devastating impact of colonialism. And over here, we have Ngozi Chimamanda Adichie, used us to the impact of the Nigerian Civil War and the historical moment, one of the darkest moments in Nigeria's history, also known as the Igbo-Biafran War. Both books have great stories that have shaped African literatures. Both books are bestsellers and both books are from great authors. But which of these books have greater impact? Which of these books has greater story? I will be dissecting all of them in this video. From their writing style to the story to the theme to the character development, I will be dissecting them and will be discussing which is better, which is greater. Ensure to stick to the end of this video to know which of this book has the greater impact, which of this book is the best from our analysis. And let's jump right in. Welcome to our channel. If you are not subscribed, now is the best time to subscribe. I am Xandraly and I'm the founder of Xandraly. At Xandraly, we are a community of lifelong learners and readers. We help readers hit their reading goals, and we do this by providing fun and practical content just like this one, and also help readers with their reading journey. If this sounds exciting to you, consider joining our reading community with the description of this video. And so we're starting with the storyline of each of these books. Introduces us to a story of the man Okonkwo, who is a warrior and also full of himself. Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, which was published in 1958, who is a respected and ambitious Igbo leader and warrior. He is the type of person who is full of himself and who believes in upholding his own principles and culture to the detriment of any other thing. And in this story, his life was upended by the introduction of colonialism into the African culture, into the Igbo culture. And this was something that doesn't sit well with him. He resisted change a lot, and he saw those that accepted colonialism as being bad and not wanting progress. He is the person anybody will call the typical traditional Igbo man. It's also an historical and cultural tale about the transformation of the pre-colonial Africa. It's a historical and cultural tale of pre-colonial Africa and its transformation. Africa was before the introduction of colonialism and how it was transformed to what it is now. On the other hand, in the storyline of Half of a Yellow Sun, introduced us to one of the darkest moments in Nigerian history. The fight between the Nigerians and the Biafrans, the Nigerian Civil War between the Igbo Nigeria. It was published in 2006 and introduces us to characters like Odenigbo, Olana, Ugu, and other characters as they navigate love, war, and identity. The Ngozi Chimamanda Yellow Sun was set in the post-colonial era. Things Fall Apart goes deep into the pre-colonial Africa, while Chimamanda's Half of a Yellow Sun introduces us to the post-colonial society. While both stories explores the strong attachment to culture and society, rejects change and the impact of war, and how the effect of colonialism still lives on, how it brings about divide and change, fight and resistance in cultures and traditions in Nigeria. Also talked about the impact of war and how it can disrupt value and make people do things that are very unlikely of them to do. Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, he explores things like masculinity, free will, faith, colonialism. While Ngozi Chimamanda Adichie's Half of a Yellow Sun explores things like impact of war, class and education, betrayal, love, colonial legacy, and post-colonial struggle. Chinua Achebe's novel focuses on the introduction of colonialism and the disruption of culture and tradition, that is the traditional society. Ngozi Chimamanda Half of a Yellow Sun discussed the lasting impact of colonialism, through war and personal struggles. They both have intertwined themes, but each is distinct and depicted different era. We are introduced to Okonkwo, which is the main character of this book, and he is a tragic, flawed, and personal hero who is driven by fear and pride, and other characters mainly support his story. In Ngozi Chimamanda's Half of a Yellow Sun, we are introduced to multiple characters like Ugwu, Kainene, Odenigbo, Richard, and each of them provide different perspectives to war, identity, and personal struggles. Half of a Yellow Sun wins for character development as we get to see different characters and how each person tells their own story from their perspective, and giving us the most literary icons we've ever met. Moving forward to the writing style, Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart takes a more direct, objective, simple writing style and says told from multiple perspectives, and the story is told from an omniscient, all-knowing, single perspective. The person is told from only one person's perspective. His writing style uses Igbo idioms and figurative speech from Igbo cultures and tells story from the Igbo's references. While Ngozi Chimamanda's Half of a Yellow Sun is more rich, lyrical, and also provides shifting perspective. It is told from more than one perspective, and we kind of gain more insight about the book and how each perspective, how knowing from each person's perspective, we know what's going on, rather than Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, which was told from only one person's perspective, and the person tends to know what's going on with other, and Chinua Achebe's own, which was told from only one person's perspective. We don't get to learn what each different people are going through in their own. And while Ngozi Adichie brings lyrical storytelling and strong emotion, Chinua Achebe in his book Things Fall Apart is a master of simplicity and cultural authenticity. While Ngozi Adichie's writing style in Half of a Yellow Sun brings a more lyrical and raw emotion into his writing. Moving on to the impact and legacy of these books. Things Fall Apart is considered the foundation of modern African literature, and it is studied worldwide. And it is highly recommended to get a glimpse of what it was like before the introduction of colonialism, how the world was like, how people lived, how cultures were built, how different people in different communities engaged in before the introduction of colonialism and its impact. It is highly recommended worldwide, and people ready to gain perspective from go into the world of pre-colonialism. Introduce the new generation to Nigerian's history about this Nigerian civil war. It brings in depth about the impact of colonialism, the impact of the post-colonialism after colonialism have gone, how the war was, and introduce newer generation to this history. Especially me being a Igbo myself, I get to gain insight on how it was during the war, and we are introduced to that. And the novel is widely read, and it's a contemporary African novel. Their impact both lives on, their impact both outlive them. One speaks to the past, the other speaks to the future. Which one wins? Tell us in the comment section. Which book wins for you? Which book between these two books do you think is the greatest African literature ever? I hope you love this video, and if you have any questions and clarification about your reading journey, ensure to drop them in the comments of this video, and I will see you in my next video. Ensure to read the book today, and happy reading.